Hi, I'm Luminaria Star, and this is a Metaphysician's Journal. Hi, today I am going to be reviewing the Shining Tribe Tarot by Rachel Pollack. Now, I've got to tell you, I tried and tried to write this review, and no matter what I did, I couldn't for the life of me write something that was coherent, and I wondered why. I am, after all, a tarot reader with 40 years of experience. I'm a shamanic practitioner, and these are shamanic cards. I have a well-rooted understanding of symbolic imagery. I'm a former student of archaeology and anthropology with a strong background in art history. These should be right up my alley. And they are. I've been able to give very, very powerful readings with these. The suits are not that different from the standard. They are different, but they are pretty much in line with Western concepts of the elements. The equivalents are trees, stones, rivers, and birds. It's different, but it's not that different. They make sense. The cards are colorful. They're very well printed. They're on good quality cardstock, so they will hold up to pretty continual use. They're accompanied by this lovely and well-written book. They were written by a woman scholar for whom I have great respect and admiration. Her writing is clear and colorful and descriptive, with lots of personal anecdotes that explain her interpretations. So what is the problem? I'm so seldom at a loss for words. Wordplay is a sport I excel at. And yet, I could not write this review until I realized that the problem was not between the interface between me and the cards. The problem was that I was not able to make a sensible translation of my impressions, and I feared that they wouldn't make sense to prospective consumers like yourselves. Because this is a place, these take me to a place where wordplay takes on different rules. And instead of sensible workaday world explanations, I come up with songs and tone poems and myths and images that dance in firelight on a cavern wall. You take me to an altered state, another realm, truly. And that realm is a place that must be entered with caution. And to talk about this shamanic realm, I must make a departure from the everyday world. And for you to share in this experience, you must come with me to a place beyond reason, outside of everyday reality, and yet also deeper in. So let me tell you a story that begins back in the time of the Aborigines, the kind of story that shamans told to tribe people around the fires at night. Let me take you back into the dream time, the time before we had a modern concept of time, when we believed in the cycles of seasons, the cycles of birth and death, a time when you knew you were you, but you didn't know that the world was outside of you, and so your consciousness believed the world was within, and everything touched you, and you touched everything. Before I had this dream awaken inside of me, I couldn't truly enter into this realm. I had glimpses as through a glass darkly. I had to let go of my worldview, my paradigm. And this is not a place for the faint of heart. For those addicted to the reasonable place where we live and walk, controlled by traffic lights and clocks and dollars. I had to let go of traffic lights and clocks and dollars to travel into these realms. I had to let go of sense and being sensible. I had to let go of reason and of civilization. I had to travel to younger skies, where the land that passed underneath my wings was red and gold with sun and fire, and lava flows formed a planet new and still quaking with the pangs of birth. To translate this experience from this time beyond time is not an easy task. It requires thought beyond sense, and language can't dance with it properly. It's an altered state, and you must enter into a place where the stars sing to you, and the sun engulfs you lavishly with tendrils of her being, and the moon draws you into her circular pavane, and then climbs inside of you through your eyes, through your eye. Nature calls from inside, and startled, you waken to rivers and ice flows and galaxies spinning out a fabric of time-space from a place that normally you can only sense dimly, as long as your eyes focus on streets and stock portfolios, and your ears hear speech as if they were words on a page. Can tarot take you back to a shamanic state? Yes, it can. Is the shamanic state madness? Sometimes. It could certainly seem that way. Is it poetry? Well, you tell me. Is it bad poetry? Could be. So how can these scrawlings on a collection of cards cause this break with sensible speech and reason and sanity? Consider the art of our common ancestors. Before the tribes were sundered from each other, when men and women spoke together in their minds with one speech, when sounds were uttered for music and to express joy, rage, fear, and ecstasy instead of language. Remember wild hunts, up canyons and down rivers, the shelter of trees, and the play of firelight on cave walls. My mother before time took the ochre from the earth, mixed it with rain, and painted her story on the walls. She told us in songs and she told us in pictures how the stars sang to her at night. She painted her truth on the walls with the blood of the earth, the tears of the sky, and the ashes of the stars. This is the way that these images finally chose to speak through me. This is the world beyond worlds that they describe. If you can, let them show you the way back into the dream time. If you can, leave sense for the moment and return to your senses. Leave the car, leave the smartphone, leave the workload back in the shadowland that we have created to contain them. They'll still be there when you go back. And instead, dance your way into a place that was real to your timeless foremothers, and meet them there. They're waiting for you. They have secrets to share with you. They'll tell you everything you want to know, if you can let yourself listen from that place beyond words, beyond sense, beyond logic. Returning to the world of reason, I can say that if you achieve this state, if you can let yourself achieve this state, the readings you give with these will be potent and soulful and full of magic. These cards are very different from other tarot cards, as I've told you before and as you can see for yourself. But once you allow yourself to become immersed in them, changes can take place in your psyche, and you need to prepare yourself to receive the kind of truth that comes to you through this conduit. Don't let your logic filters sieve out the nuggets of truth or censor your perceptions, because then you lose the thread that connects you to the reality of the dream time. If you are addicted to logic and the workaday world and all that busy making, these cards are not for you. If, however, you're trying to unhinge yourself from the habit of sensibility and break through that barrier to reach a higher and more eternal self, these cards may help you do that. Approach with caution. You may singe yourself by the bonfire if you've forgotten what flame is. You may lose yourself in the vastness if you've forgotten what eternity is. The primitive self is a very scary self, and it still lives inside of every one of us, and it can be reached, but it will only go back to sleep with great reluctance, so have a care about waking it up. Make sure you can give it space and privacy, and feed it what it needs, or it will cause you confusion and maybe scare the neighbors. Be careful who you let see it, or you may find yourself having to make some hasty explanations from a very uncomfortable place where the words have deserted you. Enter with caution. Untamed things live here, including you. And that concludes this edition of a Metaphysician's Journal. Blessed be.